Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. It's good to see you all again on this platform that the Lord have allowed us to have on today. We thank you for joining us for our Holy Week live concert. We pray that on today you'll be blessed by the ministry that's going to come forth. And if you would, just go ahead and close your eyes on me as we go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this opportunity to come into your house to sing praises unto your holy name. For truly, God, you have been good to us. Even in the midst of this turmoil, God, you have kept us. You have protected us, God. You have provided when it seems like there was nothing, no way to be made, God. You made a way out of no way, and for that we say thank you. God, we pray that on tonight that as we sing and reminisce through song of the things that transpired during Holy Week and different types of songs that have been a blessing to us in our lives, God, that we just won't be blessed here on this stage, God, but your name will be glorified with every song, with every word, God, with even every deed. And that if there may be somebody out there watching us on today who may be struggling or facing some difficult times and need some uplifting, God, that the words of the songs will be a blessing to their hearts, God. And even if there may be somebody who doesn't know you in the free pardon of their sins, God, if it so be your will for them to come into connection with you, to receive you on today, God, we pray that your will be done. God, have your way even now in this place. God, we love you and we bless you. In the matchless name of Jesus Christ, our Lord, we pray. Amen. And thank God. Y'all, we thank y'all for tuning in with us on today. I'm going to ask that if you could quickly do me a favor before we move forward, hit that like button. I need y'all to share this video with your friends and your family. Call everybody in, all right? And we're about to kick off with something very familiar to the FWBC family. Song says, with our hands lifted high, our hearts filled with praise, we acknowledge your presence in this holy place. For it is in our prayers that you will be blessed. So take the time to welcome you with loving arms of gratitude. We welcome you, welcome to the West. Welcome to the West. Oh, welcome to the West. Oh, welcome to the West. Welcome to the West. With my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with praise, with a heart of thanksgiving, I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, with the heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. Y'all come on, help me sing. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. Oh, I will bless thee, O Lord. Bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. just wanted to take a little time out on today to just take a few seconds and introduce ourselves to you all. We pray that you have come for no other reason than to bless the name of the Lord. But we're going to start from the very end over here with my good friend and sister. Go ahead, Sabrina.
God bless you all. To God be the glory. Friendship West, we love you and we miss you. We come tonight hoping that we bless you and that you feel the power of the Holy Ghost right where you are. So join in on these songs that you know with us. Oh, I'm Sabrina Cassia. I'm so sorry. I'm Sabrina Cassia, a faithful member of the Friendship West Baptist Church. And we ask that you continue to pray with us, sing with us, join in with us, and we hope that you feel God's blessing upon you. God bless you all.
My name is Vincent Hall, and I am a member of the Friendship West Baptist Church. I'm so glad to be here tonight just to sing the songs of Zion. Throughout these days when it's been so dark and so quiet and so desolate in so many places, it's so good to have these songs to bring back to your memory, to bring back to your psyche, to remind you that God is good all the time.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody. Again, it's me, your boy Saul Gates. I just wanted to say thank you all for tuning in. We're excited to be here worshiping with you all on today. If you won't, go ahead and interact with us live. We're going to be taking looks at our feed as we're going, and so if you hear something that you like or want to hear something, just go ahead and shout out at us, okay? We're gonna pass it on to my good sister over here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chadney Crystal, and I'm just honored to be among some of the best musicians and singers in the world here on the stage. So God bless you, and it's a privilege to still be able to worship even in this time and during this crisis, that you would be able to worship with us and just enjoy, relax, have fun, and make sure you share and like the posts. I love y'all, and I'm definitely praying for you.
Amen.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Michael Heron. I've been a member of the West for about 12 years. I'm from Rockford, Illinois. I'm glad to have y'all with us today.
Amen.
Amen. Good evening, Friendship West. My name is Sean Martin. I'm a faithful member for the last 20 years.
Amen.
Here at Friendship West, where the Honorable Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III is my pastor. I'm very, very excited to be here with my good friends, my musical comrades, to share a little joy, share a little hope in this season, because we all know God is still good, like my brother Vince just said. So we're here to praise, sing praises, even in this holy week, right now, in this time. For us Christians, we can still lift up praises and remember the sacrifices that have been made. So I'm very honored to be here again. My name is Sean Martin.
Amen.
I want to begin with a song. I was reminded when I drove up here, it was raining. And my grandmother was a first lady, and she went by the old school book. And whenever it was raining, she'd make all of us climb up in the bed, because she said whenever God is doing his work, we needed to be quiet. And then she would put a boot at the end of the bed just in case anything happened. And you couldn't say anything, but you could sing a little song. So I'm going to try a little song here, a cappella, just that reminds me of my grandmother, Mrs. Portia Modesta English Figures. It's an old school song. I hope you like it. I heard an old story about a Savior came from glory, how he gave his life on Calvary to save a wretch like me. I heard about, his groaning and his precious blood's atoning. And I repented of my sins and won the victory. I heard about his healing and his cleansing power, revealing how he made the lame to walk again and caused the blind to see. And then I cried, dear Jesus, and heal my broken spirit. And somehow Jesus came and brought to me the victory. Oh, victory is in Jesus, my Savior forever. He bought me, and he sought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me before I knew him, and all my love is due him. He plunged me to my victory beneath the cleansing flood. Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and he bought me with his redeeming blood. Oh, he loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is due him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood.
Yes, Lord. We're thankful for our victory in Jesus. Yes.
Go ahead and put me in B flat. And speaking of victory, we know that so many people have been in tough times now, in transitions, and being in moments of having to care for and say goodbye to loved ones. And in addition to that, and in addition to those sad times, we also have a testimony that if it had not been for a sacrifice, a perfect sacrifice of a perfect Savior, a Savior that went to Calvary for us.
Yeah.
We celebrate it, or we think about it tomorrow, understanding that every single time that we sin, we put Christ back on that cross. And he gives us eternal life because he bled and died, but because he got up. And that's a sacrifice of love that no one else could give to us. And because we know that sacrifice, every walk, everything we do, every move we make should give God glory. And I want to make sure that everything that I do in my personal life from today and here on out gives God glory, that he is glorified. So I declare that all the glory and all the honor and all the praise belongs to him. All the glory and all the honor and all the praise belongs to only thee. In the morning, with brand new mercies, it is your face that I seek. Oh, precious Lamb, slain at Calvary, I sing your praise throughout eternity. so that you get all the glory. Take none for me, but all for thee. All the glory and all the honor and all the praise belongs to only thee. For in the morning with brand new mercies, it is your face that I seek. Oh, precious Lamb, slain at Calvary, I sing your praise throughout eternity and cast my crown at your feet so that you get all the glory. Take none for me, but all for thee. Take none for me, but all for all to thee. All to thee. This is my prayer, my earnest plea. Oh, take my life and let it be here consecrated, yeah, Lord, for me. Oh, precious Lamb, slain at Calvary, I sing your praise throughout eternity and cast my crown at your feet so that you get all the glory. Take none for me, but all for thee. Lord, take no glory for me, but give it all for thee. You deserve all the glory. You deserve all the praise. You deserve all my worship. You deserve all the honor, Lord. For if it had not been for your sacrifice, Lord, I would not be here today if it had not been. Take none from me, but all for thee. Take none for me, but all for thee.
Hallelujah. All the glory belongs. All the glory belongs to him. Can we say that in the key? Hallelujah. God, you've won the victory. No, no. Hallelujah. You have won. You have won it all for me. Death could not hold you down. No, you are the risen King. Because Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That's love. Oh, that's love. Oh, Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That's love. That is love. That's love. Sabrina, can you say they hung him high?
They hung him high.
Yes, Lord.
They stretched him wide. He hung his head for me. He died. That's love. Oh, that's love. They hung him high. They stretched him wide. He hung his head for me. He died. That's love. That's love.
Then say that's not how.
But that's not how the story ends. For in 3 days he rose again. That's love. Oh, that's love. Oh, but that's not how the story ends. For in 3 days he rose again. That's love. That's love. That's love. That's love.
That's love.
That's love, that's love, that's love.
Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. They hung him high. They stretched him wide. He hung his head. He died. That's not how. That's not the story. The story is in 3 days. He rose again. That is love. That is love. That's love. Back home in my church, they say this last verse. They say, one of these mornings, it won't be long. You're gonna look for me, and I'll be gone 'cause of love. Oh, for all the love. One of these mornings, won't be long. You look for me, and I'll be gone. That's love. Oh, that is love. Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That is love. Oh, that's love. Anybody feeling that love on today? Anybody feeling that love? We thank y'all for being here with us. Amen. And we're gonna make way right now to we're going to keep on going as we keep on continuing and thinking about the many things that God has been to us. We just wanted to take this time to celebrate his awesome majesty and his power with a few songs. And so now we're going to hop out of the way and let my good friend and brother, Dr. Sean Martin, bless us, amen, with something on tonight. If y'all happen to see Sean in the building, go on and hit them likes. Let me see them likes going crazy on the screen. Hearts, I'm sorry, hearts. Yes, God. Thank you, Lord. Yes, Lord. We are thankful today that we don't have to cry. We can wipe our weeping eyes because truly our Savior is not in a tomb. Huh? How many of you are thankful today that he got up with all power in his hand? And because he got up, how many know that after this thing is passed over, we're going to be able to get up? Huh? He's been sustaining some of us so that when we get through this thing, not only will we be able to get up, but we'll be able to lift someone else up. Amen. And on today, I'm about to pass it to my friend, my sister, who is known for lifting us up with that beautiful voice of hers and that amazing skill that she has on every single instrument that she touches. My friend and sister, Chadney Crystal. Come on, Chadney.
Say it, Chadney.
Jesus, at the mention of your name, every knee will bow and tongue proclaim. Jesus, Jesus, you are Savior, you are Lord, and you are God. Jesus, at the mention of your name, every knee will bow and tongue proclaim that Jesus, oh Jesus, you are Savior, you are Savior, you are Lord, and you are Just repeat after me. See, you're the only living God. 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 Oh, oh, say you're the only awesome God. You're the only awesome God. See, you're the only awesome God. You're the only awesome God. Oh, you're the only awesome God. Say, you're the only awesome God. See, you're the only awesome God. You're the only awesome God. Oh, we love you. 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 Adore 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 you. We praise 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 you. We lift 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 you. Oh, you're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Say you're holy. You're holy. Say you're holy. So holy. Say we need you. 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 We lift 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 you. Everybody say yes. Yes. Yes.
Truly, we love you, God. Huh? We adore you. Now, don't you feel lifted after that? After all of this wonderful music that's been going forth on today. Now, I read on here, somebody said they asked us to sing a blood song. And somebody came with one in their bank, and I'm not gonna look over there because I don't want her to cuss me, or with her eyes. But but I'm gonna ask my sister Sabrina, you mind go ahead and giving us that blood number you brought for us?
All right.
Amen.
Amen.
She wouldn't cuss me, y'all. She's a saint.
No,
It
of
was a
course
joke.
not. Yeah. All right. Somebody want to read on drums? His blood still works, and I'm here to report that it never lost its power. Yes, it works. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Let's do that again. His blood still works, and I'm here to report that it never lost its power. Say yes, it works. I have been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Verse goes like this. His blood still works, and I'm here to testify that God is not dead, He's still alive. And the same blood that was shed way back at Calvary is the same blood that is working now for me. Oh, His blood redeems me from the stain of sin, and His blood cleanses me deep down within. So if you ask me how I made it and how I overcome, I can tell you it's because of the blood. Anybody grateful for the blood of Jesus? That it never lost its power, and it never will. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Let's sing that old song. Say, oh, the blood. Oh, Jesus. At home, say, oh, that's it. Oh, the blood of Jesus. I declare you to look at sickness and say, it's the blood, oh, the precious blood of Jesus. It's still. I'm standing here to testify that it's still working. It's still. Yeah. The blood. Yeah. Say His blood still works. If you believe it today, declare that His blood still works. That same blood. His blood still works. Yeah. Jesus' precious blood. His blood still it never lost its power. Yeah. His precious blood is still working here for you today. Say yeah.
could see.
That was a beautiful song.
Have your way, Lord. Sing this.
You know, a lot of times I have a hard time fathoming the cross because I can't imagine being a disciple and going through all that the disciples went through with Jesus and seeing him die. My pastor, Reverend Haynes, says that empathy is when you can wear the skin of another man or another woman. It means to literally put on that. And so I always get stuck when Jesus is on the water, when he said, "Peace, be still." And so this song is about holding on when the boat's not going where it's supposed to go. Though the storm keeps on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. But if the storms, if they don't cease, and if the winds keep on blowing in my life,
Yes, sir.
my soul, it has been anchored in the Lord. Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, still that hope that lies within is reassuring as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. But if the storms, if they don't cease, and if the winds keep on blowing in my life, my soul, it has been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord. I realize that sometimes in this life you are gonna be tossed by the waves and the currents that seem so fierce. But in the Word of God, I've got an anchor, and it keeps me steadfast and unmovable despite the tide. But if the storms, if they don't cease, and just in case the winds that keep on blowing in my life, my soul's been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. The billows may roll, the breakers may dash, I shall not sway because he holds me fast. So dark the day, clouds in the sky, I know it's all right, cause Jesus and I and my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul, it has been anchored in the Lord, yeah.
Ah, yes. Anybody thankful that your soul is anchored? The billows may roll and the breakers may dash, but I'm thankful today that my soul is anchored in Jesus Christ. Anybody here grateful today? I see y'all out there. I see you out there. You're hitting that like button and that love button because this just blessed our souls, reminding us that we have this assurance that we can rest assured that our soul is safe as long as it is found anchored in Christ Jesus. Anybody thankful for that on today? Y'all, before we move any further, I just want to remind you of this very quick and simple thing. Sunday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. and at 11 o'clock a.m., we will be broadcasting live here from Friendship West to celebrate our resurrected King, our Lord and Savior. And so I need each and every one of you all to join us on Sunday morning at 9 and at 11. We're going to have an awesome dynamic time in the Lord. There's going to be singing. I believe that we're going to have the praise dancers even dancing on that Sunday. So you all are in for a treat. And don't worry, we're on a rotating schedule, so it won't be more than 10 of us in this room at a time. Okay? I thank y'all for being concerned, because it's being concerned that is helping us to stay safe in this time.
Yes.
I want to stress how important it is for us to follow the guidelines that we are learning each and every day. To continue to wash your hands, continue to use your sanitizer, continue to wear your mask and utilize them, because we don't know much about this virus. So what we do know is that we need to stay clean from it. Amen? Because I don't want to have to be upset at anybody for not being able to come to your funeral. Amen? Glory to God. I want us to all make it out of this thing alive, healthy, and safe. And with Jesus Christ on our side, we know that we can make it through this. Well, there's somebody who we haven't heard from on the stage on tonight. And we just going to kick it to my brother of, 10, 12, 13 years maybe. This has been my best friend, my good friend and brother, Elder Michael Heron. Amen.
Amen, Elder. Bless the house.
Play, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
the blood that Jesus shed for me. Way back on Calvary. The blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power. Chad, let's sing a little bit of that for us. Come on, sis.
The blood that Jesus shed for me. Ooh, way back on Calvary, the blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power.
Come on and bless us, Sean. first of all give thanks and praise and honor to God for allowing us this chance, this worship opportunity, this experience. And God, if there may be someone out there on today who needs to know you, dear Heavenly Father, as their Lord and Savior, we pray right now that in the name of Jesus, they will accept you into their heart, confess you with their mouth, and believe that Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, rose from the grave and now has all power and has accepted them into this wonderful family of faith. God, we thank you and we love you. In the name of Jesus, we pray amen and thank God. We want to give thanks and honor to everybody who was out here with us on tonight, everybody on this stage. We give honor again to our pastor, our leader, Dr. Freddie Haynes. And y'all, before we leave on tonight, we thank everybody, the sound people, y'all give them some love, amen. The videographers, the people who are helping this thing to go live, y'all show them love, appreciate them. We know who they are, Friendship West. Let them know that we love them and we thank them for the work that they do, the untiring work that they do. As we depart from this place, we want to leave the FWBC family with something a little familiar, amen. Yes, Lord. Song says, may his peace be with you until we meet